Welcome everybody to another edition of the Hurry Up. I'm your host, Adam. Let's get into it. So, yesterday, the Giants won at Michael Strahan's victory retirement celebration yesterday on the 28th. As you can see, yours truly got to go there. I tell you, got this commemorative towel. Let me bring in the atmosphere. You're walking in. It's cloudy. It's cold. The Giants got the old helmets on with the NY logo on the side. I told my friend who was in here with, I said, this is an old school game. This feels like a game of a Smash Mount affair back in the, early 90s when, you used to come in and watch these games. So the only thing difference would be if they gave us towels. Guess what? They gave us towels. So we got to use our towels. It was like a playoff atmosphere in there. It was great. If you weren't there, I hope it reflected that on the screen when you were watching it, because it was loud, it was crazy, and it was a lot of fun. And it's always better when it's a victory. Been there 4 times with this particular friend of mine, and they've won all 4 games. Not saying I'm the good luck charm, but it's kind of crazy. You go 4 games, you get a clean sweep. So we'll see what happens next time. And it wasn't that. It was almost not meant to be. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. Let's go. Victory Monday, people. Enjoy it. I don't care who it was against. It was against a rival team, the Philadelphia Eagles, who were surging at this time. They were surging. Don't get it twisted. They were surging. They had some victories that they were playing with, and they're coming in here high and mighty, looking to get into a playoff picture. Well, we kind of thwarted that. Thought they would give a better effort offensively. Defensively, they kind of played the game I thought they would play. In terms of how to stop the offense. Well, let's get into that, because the offense was a big story this week. Obviously, we all know Jason Garrett got fired. Well, guess what? The offense didn't really change much, and if you're expecting a lot more changes, I was more expecting game flow and game call. You can't really change the offense in the middle of your week 12 into the season. So you got the playbook that is handed to you, and you're going with it. And what you might see change, which you saw a little bit of, is a more dynamic throwing when in the red zone and more chances that way, which they did take more chances. Didn't always work out, but at least they were there, and they kind of kept the defense honest. Daniel Jones, we won't get into it much, but he had a game. He had an average game, nothing ho-hum about it. He did what he had to do within the offense. And those are the type of things you wanted to do. He was basically a game manager, which, again, we can get into later in the offseason, whether or not these type of players are the ones that win you championships. You can tell me Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, and guys like that, but they had amazing defenses. We forget how good those defenses were and how great scoring defenses they were. Tampa Bay led the league in scoring on defense that year in terms of, return touchdowns and fumbles. Same thing with the Ravens. They were holding opponents under, 15, 16 points a game, so it's easy to win that like that when you're grinding out victories. And that's what the Giants did. They grinded out a victory. Wasn't pretty. Wasn't something that we all thought was, going to be put on a highlight reel. There was a couple, I guess you call them high moments in this game. Saquon Barkley getting a long run. I think he's still having some troubles when he's running the football. I don't know if it's the knee. I don't know if he's washed. I don't know if he's still feeling something. Maybe next year might be a better year to evaluate him. They always says it takes 2 years to come off from the injury. So we'll see what happens. He's definitely going to be here next year in terms of Barkley. I wouldn't get rid of him just yet. Plus, his value is low right now because he's not really doing much. In terms of Jones, again, he's a game manager. Nothing exciting, nothing too, impressive in terms of what he did. He kept the defense off, not really off balance, but there were some design roles. He did do a few things that were noted. He did move a little bit in the pocket, which was good. Not as good as Jalen Hurst. The only results were different for Hurst because he threw interceptions and fumbles. So we'll talk about the defense in a minute. But Daniel Jones didn't do much to get me to move the needle. I'm going to still root for the guy because he's the Giants quarterback. But he does leave a lot to be desired out there. And the game plan, regardless of if it was grounded out, is one of those ones, even the announcer said, Carl Banks, Bob Papa, that needs to kind of change. And if they're going to try to win games going forward in the future, they're winning games now thanks to, 4 turnovers by the defense, and the defense kind of playing, with their hair on fire in this game. Wasn't a great performance. Don't let the 4 turnovers fool you. The Eagles still had opportunities to score. They blew them. They blew opportunities in this game. In the red zone, they blew opportunities. The Giants came through with those opportunities when presented to them, making interceptions. Xavier McKinney, Pro Bowl. But again, the offense did just enough. The offensive line is still a liability. Nate Solder, why he's on the field, I have no idea. He must have some type of blackmail on the coaches or something, because that guy should be on the bench. He should be doing what I'm doing right now, sitting down. Sitting down, counting his money, riding these last 6 games out, because I don't think Nate Solder will play again, if at all. And if he does, it'll probably be back up in New England, more so as a backup role. I don't know. You can't really tell these days with players' mindsets, but clearly he is not the answer, and he was just here because of luck. You got rid of Zeitler, and you traded for and you brought in a $76 million quarterback, wide receiver, yet you let your best offensive lineman go in Zeitler, and you kept your worst offensive lineman here in Nate Solder. I mean, who knows who you should have brought back in, but Nate Solder is poop. He is washed up. So, with that being said, that was my offense. The evaluation of it is basically we'll have to see what Freddie Kitchens brings as the season goes on. Wasn't as exciting. There were some throws that I think should have been better. The one to Galladay in the fade route was kind of hard. I know people were looking for a penalty, but Jones put the ball in front of him. If he put the ball up top, I think it's a touchdown. Galladay goes up and gets it. Instead, he puts it kind of in front of the defender, and Galladay kind of has to reach his hands out like this, as opposed to getting the ball like here. You want him to have the ball up here. This is what he does. Elbows in, jumping to get it. Instead, you have him here, which is having to have his hand come up like this, which allows the defender to kind of put his arm in there and armbar, Galladay. I wasn't impressed by that. Really, I wasn't impressed by anything. They did the same basic plays that they did everything else. The only difference is they didn't have as many mistakes, and the execution was a little different. And the tight ends got involved a little bit more, as we expected it to. But when you look at that team and they came out, they really don't have anything outside of Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay is a number one. As someone said, he's more of a great number 2 option. And I'm starting to think, along the lines of maybe he's a number 1, but a 1B. And you need to bring in a 1A or use Tony as your 1A, because he's more dynamic right now and can bust open a game, as they say, going forward. And John Ross needs a few more carries. I think that kid's got the goods in terms of speed, but, has been hampered by injuries. But anyways, let's get to the team that really did well was the defense. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't get it masked. They had some issues. They didn't get to the quarterback as much as they should have. They were disruptive. They did have, Jalen Hurts move from spots. They were chasing him around. He was running for his life back there at times. But he made plays sometimes. And he didn't make plays sometimes. Sometimes he threw the ball up. But the Giants were opportunistic and capitalized on those opportunities. The play to Tate Crowder was an abomination throw. They don't even know where the guy was going. He rolled out. He had time to set up, and he just lofted a pass, which, Tate Crowder got away with a bit of a push off. But hey, listen, it's not a flag. It's not a flag unless the ref throws the flag, right? So the Giants got away with it. I thought the Giant defensive secondary played one of their best games in terms of holding the Eagles in check. However, there was some leakage at the end of the game where damn near cost them. And that's when injuries happened. Adoree Jackson obviously was out of the game. Darnay Holmes was out of the game. You had a rookie playing on Reagor, and Reagor almost made a catch in the back of the end zone, which would change the whole dynamic of probably how we feel on a victory Monday. So the Giants got by with an ugly win, capitalized on their opportunities, and it's a victory Monday. Now, do I think they need to do a lot? Yes. Are we going to touch on a lot of that going forward in the next videos or two and other pods that we jump on and jump off of? Yes. I think that needs to be addressed. I think the offense is a big issue. It was something that was supposed to be fixed. The offensive line is still trash, even though McKinney, who should be in the Pro Bowl, was drafted by, this crew. It still doesn't negate the fact that the offensive line, you kept Nate Solder on the offensive line. You drafted a guy in Matt Purdy who's not even getting a chance. And I don't care. You can tell me about politics and coaching and all that stuff. There's a reason he's not starting, Pert's not starting, whether that they think he's not doing the playbook or something's happening here. And judging by how Garrett was let go, and judging by how, no pun intended, judges evaluating the situation, I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of putting Nate Solder out there to say, see, we knew he wasn't good, but this is a Dave Gettleman pick. We're putting him out here for those reasons. They benched O'Shane Ximines. I don't think you'll see him in a Giant uniform for the rest of the season. Lorenzo Carter came back. He played okay. Does a great job setting the edge. Doesn't give you much in pass rush. And overall, I think, while it was a great victory, there's still a lot to be had in this team. There's still a lot of improvement that needs to be made. Glad they responded with a tumultuous week. Let's see how they do going forward with teams like, I know the Chargers, struggled yesterday, and I know Miami is kind of surging right now, and they got a couple of those games on your schedule. Not to mention the Cowboys are mixed in there. So there's going to be some tough games that the Giants should win. A couple 50-50 games, and a game where they'll probably be really the underdog in terms of the Cowboy game. But you never know. Maybe they go into that game with the Cowboys at 6-7 with 2 victories over the Chargers and Miami. If they don't, and they go in the opposite direction, they're 4-9. At that point we can basically write them off for the season. But if they go in there, maybe 5-8, split the next 2 games, or even 6-7, dare I say it. Now we're talking. Now we're really talking playoffs, and we're really talking a scenario where the Giants can get back into it. But they won't win with the offensive performance. And I know people are going to tell me, "Oh, the game plan it was good. I like the game plan. Freddie Kitchens kept the Eagles off the field." No, the offense stunk. Okay, it did enough to win. But when you give up 200 yards of offense on defense, and you basically have a chance to win the football game, and the receiver who is not if that's Adam Thielen in the corner of the end zone, that's probably caught. If that's Stephon Diggs running down the sideline, that's probably a touchdown. Thankfully, they got Rager, who maybe it was cold outside, maybe he wasn't focused enough, maybe he overthought something. I don't know what was going through his head on that play, but at the end of the day, he missed the play, and the Giants have a victory. So while we can bask in the glory of this victory, we also have to critique where we need to critique. And Miami might have more of a potent offense. I know that they've had some explosive plays. We'll see how they play against the Giants. But again, 13 points ain't going to cut it. I don't care how good your defense is playing. And let's be honest, the defense played well. But at the end of the game, there was still a chance to win, which means, there was still some leakage. And of course, with these injuries with Dory Jackson and Darnay Holmes, we'll see how long they're out for. If they're out for next week, it could be tough covering Jalen Waddle, who's an explosive player, and another quarterback who's mobile in Tua Tagovailoa. We'll see. And then, of course, you got Justin Herbert coming down the pike. Again, they're not playing great football, the Chargers, but it doesn't matter. When you have a team that is struggling as well, you got to come in and play your A game every time. And if the Giants want to keep this season alive and they want to keep the hope alive, I know Cowboys lost, and it looks like the Cowboys are being exposed to what they are, and that's not a great. They're still got problems on defense. I think if the Eagles won, Washington wins on tonight, they're back in the race, and we'll see what happens at that point. It's going to be a fun road to hoe down this stretch. Get ready, Giant fans, buckle up. There's going to be some games where they're going to win. Who knows? Maybe at the end of the year, it's a play-in game with Washington to see if they can get into the playoffs at 7-10 or 8-9. So we'll see. I think the Giants are headed into a still 7-win season. Let's see if they can try to pull off a couple wins against 2 teams they're expected to beat, Miami and LA. And then, of course, you'll have that big matchup with Dallas, which who knows what will be happening at that point. That's 3 games from now, and who knows if Dallas loses 1 or loses 2 and they end up being 7-6, and you're 6-7. Now maybe you're battling for the division at that point. You never know what happens in this wacky NFL. So, Giant fans, Victory Monday. Enjoy. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the critiquing that's going to go on throughout the week. And, of course, let's see what people have to say about this offense going forward, and we'll see what happens towards the end of the year. Still don't think the Giants have enough to make the playoffs, but they're in the race. They have some life. And, again, why not us? Who knows what's going to happen? Again, it's a tough season, especially with teams like Minnesota still fighting, teams like Washington that we'll see what happens tonight with them, and then you got teams like Carolina who are still trying to find their way, and Atlanta is in there, so don't give up hope. It's not and of course the Eagles are still pesky. Who knows what's going to happen with them? But again, a nice feeling to have. After a long weekend of everybody basically losing in the division, minus we'll see Washington right now tonight as they lose, and the Giants' victory is a lot more pertinent. going forward because obviously, they lost to Washington. They need that. But as always, enjoy. Talk to you soon.